Welcome. This is Conspiracy Pete from Radio Free Helios. Today is July 21st, 2014. Warm up your Tor browser, put on your tinfoil hat, and buckle up for a safe ride with Malaysia Air. Malaysia Air is the 31st busiest air carrier of people in the world, and responsible for about 1% of all passenger airline travel. They might be number 31, but they are the leader in mysterious disappearances as well as bizarre shootdowns. Commercial airlines have been shot down before. In 1983, two Soviet fighters shot down a Korean Airlines flight that bumbled into Soviet airspace, killing 269 people. Not to be outdone, the U.S. Navy cruiser Vincennes shot down an Iran air flight with 290 people on board. Siberia Airlines Flight 1812 was shot down by a Ukrainian surface-to-air missile on October 4th, 2001, killing 78 people and starting off the Ukrainian millennium. And don't forget, TWA Flight 800 shot down by the U.S. military on July 17th, 1996, killing 230 people. Now, the government never really admitted that, but that's a different conspiracy. Our conspiracy also occurs on July 17th, 2014. But here's what we know so far. Malaysia flight mh17 left Amsterdam, Netherlands, on its way to Malaysia. Along the way, it went over the conflict area in eastern Ukraine, and there it was most likely shot down by a Buk missile, killing 298 passengers and crew. The culprits, either the evil eastern Ukraine separatists or the evil Russian Spetsnaz, were under the direction of Vladimir Putin. In fact, if you read most of the Western press or watch any commentary, it would appear Putin pulled the trigger himself. So let's take a look at the conspiracy and see where it starts. Here's a clip provided by the propaganda arm of the Ukrainian government.
Только что сбили самолет, группа минера, за Янакиева упал.
A proper translation would be, a plane was shot down. He did not use the word we, but the Ukrainian government did the translation. The Western media rebroadcast it around the world. If someone is a native Russian speaker, feel free to agree or correct me. The flight normally flies south several hundred miles. That day, for some reason, the pilot decided to go that way. Kiev air traffic controller said great and directed the plane to change course over the war zone. Well, the Buk missile system is pretty good. It's complicated and not quite that easy to use.
Because of the technical complexity of the SA-11, it is unlikely that the separatists could effectively operate the system without assistance from knowledgeable personnel.
So who was operating it when it was fired? There's really only three options for this. The vodka-drinking rebels, or a special team snuck over from Russia to operate or even brought the Buk with them, or the tricky Ukrainian army. Ukraine has about 60 Buk launchers. Russia has more like 350. And the rebels supposedly got access to a few in the last few weeks. However, it takes time to learn these things. It's not a simple rocket launcher.
We cannot rule out technical assistance from Russian personnel in operating the systems.
One thing to keep in mind is there's no upside to the Russians or rebels intentionally shooting down a commercial aircraft. They have nothing to gain. If it did happen that way, it probably was mistaken identity, like TWA 800. So anyone trained and sober enough to operate the system should have been aware it was a commercial jet, flying at 32,000 feet, and would be in Russian airspace in a matter of about 4 minutes. Many experts saying it's really difficult to shoot down a 777 with a Buk. A jet cruising at 550 miles an hour is covering a mile every 7 seconds, or 1 kilometer every 4 seconds. It's already 6 miles away vertically. Also, a Buk typically has exploding air shrapnel, pieces of metal that are exploded in proximity to the target. Look at the wreckage. Wouldn't you expect holes from all the flying metal? If any military experts are out there, I'd welcome more opinions. While it is possible, it's not such an easy deal to shoot an airliner at 32,000 with a lone Buk. Apparently, it takes 5 minutes to get a Buk up and running, and in that time, the plane would have traveled 75 kilometers, well out of range of the Buk system. So the guys had to be waiting with an armed system, and they would have to be lucky enough to be near the flight path. And it is a lucky thing that the Kiev air traffic directed the commercial airplane to fly over the Buk system in a war zone where 3 other planes were shot down in the last few weeks. The Twitter world of Carlos, also known as Spainbuca. In his Spanish-language Twitter, Carlos claims to be in Kiev air traffic control as things happen. He claims that 2 Ukrainian fighter jets escorted mh17 over the battle zone. He claims the military took over the air traffic control tower, and his tweets kind of stopped, ending with a clear blame on the Kiev government. Now, his Twitter account was closed up, and all you could find were reposts of his tweets, but he was still in the Google search engine, with a little airplane next to his name. Supposedly he was on Spanish RT earlier, and there he was described as a driver. It's really unlikely a goofball joker could think up and execute a prank that fast. Is Carlos a Russian plant, or someone with real inside information? This is reported footage of mh17 falling after being shot down, but look closer. Do you see the streaks floating in the sky? Several people are claiming it's chaff. Chaff is little pieces of metal that military planes release to confuse radar and missiles. And if not chaff, what other debris would be floating around the doomed airliner? If this is really the footage of mh17, then, without a doubt, something more sinister was involved in downing of the flight. Information's still coming out. It's already quite likely that various governments know the truth. The Russians probably have all sorts of radar data from the border. The Ukrainians should have the air traffic conversations and some radar data. The Americans probably have satellite data complete with hotspots and missile patterns. And someone is going to have the black boxes. There's still a good chance that we have a legitimate explanation for this disaster. Let's hope the real truth unfolds. I'm hoping to do more of these, so say something nice or leave constructive criticism and collect that chaff to build a tinfoil hat. This is Conspiracy Pete, signing out.